Fire Emblem. Engage!
Well, hello everyone. Ogre27 Kane here today, and we're going to do a review of Fire Emblem Engage for the Nintendo Switch. Let's do a brief overview and figure out what this is all about. So this game is not necessarily a new game, but it is the newest game in the Fire Emblem franchise, a franchise that goes all the way back to the NES. It's a strategy tactical RPG with a bunch of really cool fantasy elements. This game is almost like a greatest hits version of all the other games that came before it, including characters, weapons, items, and even locales. The game has a ton of new features to it and an engage system which is really addictive. The only downside I'll have to say is that this is kind of an easier game in the series. They really did kind of make this user-friendly, and that's okay. So let's go ahead and jump into the gameplay. So the gameplay in this is a typical strategy tactical RPG, and it is turn-based, but having the engage system and some of the new elements really lend itself well to what they were trying to do. It gives it a new twist, and it gives it a new reason, if you will, to go back and retread the same old water. One of the things I really like about the gameplay in this, though, is that they simplified a lot of it and took out some of the more tedious elements that were in Three Houses. You no longer have to manage a whole school or relationships or any of that garbage. Everything is very simple, and it's really about the combat and the story itself. You move from story element to story element through these combat sequences, and they give you a good reason to move on. The game also features a really cool weapon system. The weapon triangle is basically back, and you can upgrade these weapons individually at your armorer. The nice part is that you don't have to worry about your weapons breaking so much like you did in previous games. The game is really built around synergizing these strategies with all these different characters. Let's hit story now. So the story in this game really revolves around the Dark Dragon's resurrection, as it pretty much has in every other Fire Emblem game. The only difference is this time you are the actual Divine Dragon, and it's your goal to stop him. It has some decent story elements to it, and it does carry itself well, but for the most part, it only acts as a catalyst to get from battle to battle. I did enjoy the story, but it is pretty weak. It does have a lot of other characters and their involvements in previous stories, and they try to interject them where they can, but frankly, there's just not a lot to it. You don't really care too much what happens to them, you just want them to do their job and kick butt. I'm not a huge fan of the story, but I do appreciate what they were trying to accomplish, and some of the characters are fairly interesting and you do care about whether or not they make it. Now, it doesn't have the difficulty per se of an old Fire Emblem, but it is something that you can look forward to. Let's go ahead and move on now to combat. So the combat in this game is the bread and butter, and honestly truly the funnest part. It has the same old traditional Fire Emblem turn-based strategy tactical combat you'd expect, but it has a new twist with this engage system. You can equip these rings that you acquire, and each ring is a character or personality from a previous Fire Emblem game, and it does allow you to strategize or synergize with certain characters, such as adding a bowman to a magic user, or a swordsman to an axe user. It gives you a certain ability to change the strategy on the battlefield and manipulate it towards your goals. Some characters are overpowered and some characters are really weak, and it's really all designed around how you want to build them. You have the traditional triangle here of sword, axe, and lance, and you have your magic and bows and everything else you can do. It's not necessarily the deepest system, but it is fun, and the game does offer enough variety. So let's do controls and audio. So first up, we'll start with an audio clip and let you decide what you think of it. I think they did a great job, but it is a little lackluster in some areas. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
I will not forget your loss.
Pretty good, but you will hear a lot of the same lines over and over and over, so don't let that bug you. Now, the controls in this game are pretty well done, and they're very simplistic. It's a grid-based system, and you just move up, down, left, right, select which weapon you're going to use, and attack. There's not really much more to it, and there's not really a lot that can screw up. If you're familiar with any other Fire Emblem game out there, this should fit right in with you, and there's not really a lot you need in tutorial. So let's go ahead now and move on to graphics and animations. So personally, I think this game looks and runs better than Three Houses. I think they may have gone a little more simplistic with the world itself, and that may have helped with the detail, but I think the characters are very well animated and very well defined. The animation quality too is very top-notch. All of the characters have a very fluid set of movement, and the game's performance is absolutely flawless. I didn't have it crash on me a single time, and the only frame rate skips you'll see are usually between sequences when it doesn't matter. Being as simple as the game is with what they're doing, they really couldn't screw this up too much, but in my opinion, I think it looks better and runs better than Three Houses. I'm very happy with it, but it is very simple in what it is. The art style is an anime art style, and if you're not really into that, then it may turn you off a little bit. But outside of that, all of the effects and the performance are fantastic, and there's really no reason to complain about anything in this game. If you're a fan of Fire Emblem, it should fit right in with you, and you should feel very comfortable with what they did. So let's do conclusion now. So in conclusion, this game was one that I waited to buy. I took a little while on purpose because I wanted to see what they were going to do different after Three Houses. In my opinion, I think they went back to their roots in a good way and really gave us a great game. The game is still decently expensive. I think it runs around $50, but it is a good value and you will get your hours out of it. I spent a lot of time with this game and I truly enjoyed it. It's one that you can also go back to and experiment with different characters, creatures, and classes and find something that works really well for you. All these things are huge pluses to me, and if you're a Fire Emblem fan, then it's definitely a must-buy. Thank you for watching today's video. It was a blast to make. I upload every single Monday. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and have a great rest of your day. This is Ogre27 Kane, signing out.
I suppose you're right.
Your father has already sacrificed your life. I won't do the same.
You will not grant me the release of death. How cruel, but you are my deity, and I respect your will. Could I ask you to forget that?
All right.
In exchange, I offer information. I will tell you where King Morian is being taken, and why.